guys, Abby here. So as you can see from the title, today we are wrapping up what I read in 2024. I am going to be doing this as the reading tag that I done last year because I really enjoyed that and I thought it was really fun and it really made me think about what I'm reading. If you don't already, you can follow me on Storygraph. That's where you'll find like the ins and outs of my reading, and hopefully this year I'm going to be writing reviews better. Also, I have a book talk and a bookstagram, so go make sure that you're following those. I'll put my bookstagram in the section below so you can go give it a wee follow. That's where I do most of my book stuff. That's where I keep separate book stuff. Whereas I have my main Instagram that's more lifestyle. First things first are the statistics. So I read 107 books and that added up to 41,760 pages. So last year I only set my goals to 50 books and 10,000 pages. So obviously I absolutely smashed that. The only difference is I've kept to 50 books because I don't want the pressure of missing. Like, I want to be able to DNF books, so I don't want to set it so high that I'm not going to reach the goal if I don't finish the book. However, I have made 30,000 my goal for pages because that seems to be a good place to go. Every single year I've read at least 30,000 pages, even when I've only read like 70 books, because I do tend to read books that are a bit longer. So I'm more of a 400 on average page book kind of gal. Most of my books are 400 pages. So that's why I've made that one difference. Something else that was different this year is my top genre of book was romance. Now this is a first for me. Usually it's fantasy at number one. And to be fair, fantasy is number two, and then contemporary is number three, which kind of surprises me, to be honest. But I suppose I was reading a lot of popular books last year. So I read Flawless, which is a romance. I read Done and Dusted, which was a romance. I read It Happened One Summer. I read Ali Hazelwood books. Like, I read a lot of romance for videos and to like get on track with my friends. I think maybe this year might be the year of fantasy again, because looking at my to be read list, the majority of them are fantasy, and if I do stick to that, then I should be fine. But yeah, contemporary, I don't know where that came from, probably because of all the romance I've been reading. Something that I thought was really cool was my most read author this year was Holly Jackson. She was also a new author to me, but I fell in love with her writing style. My favourite was actually Five Survive. I obviously loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but then the second and third book just didn't live up to that. But Five Survive obviously was a standalone, and I love that kind of book. Like, what happens in that book is the kind of like a mystery thriller crime that I love. I still need to read the reappearance of Rachel. Don't know what it is, but you know the one I'm talking about. The first book that I read was The Cheat Sheet, and the last book that I read was Tales from the Cafe. Both of them were good books. I think I gave The Cheat Sheet like 3.5 stars or 3.25 stars, and I gave the Tales from the Cafe 5 stars. It's the second book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, and I adore that series, and so far it's a 5-star series for me. Both books have absolutely encapsulated me. That's the kind of genre of book that is my all-time favourites. Like, magical realism is the best way for me to categorise it, but we'll get more into that when we get into the questions. The first question is most disappointing book. So there were a few disappointing books for me. Majority of my books were good, but there was a few books that I read this year that I'd been wanting to read for a while. The first disappointing book for me was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So when I seen The Hunting Party, I really wanted to read The Hunting Party, but I wanted to read The Guest List first. And I was super disappointed. I'd been so excited for this, people had hyped it up, and yeah, after reading the guest list, I don't even know if I want to read Hunting Party. So let me know down below if you think that's a mistake, but I just think that it was not the one for me. I think there was too many characters, and considering no one really died until like the end of the book, and then like there's like a wee 5-minute here's the reason, I was just kind of let down by it, and I didn't really feel any suspense, and I didn't feel any like, I didn't care. And I think that's where the problem is, because like if you don't care, then what's the point in it? Because the whole point is like it's supposed to be mysterious and you're supposed to want to know more, whereas I was just kind of like, oh, when is something going to happen, which is not very good. The next book that disappointed me this year, and this one disappointed me in my soul. So this book was one that everyone's been hyping up since it came out, and it's a fantasy, and it just sounded absolutely amazing. It sounded like a book I would absolutely love, and I was, oh, look, could not hear enough of it. Like, I was so upset by how disappointed I was. So it is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Now, I know a lot of you love that book, but for me, it just did not live up to the hype that it was given. I found it quite boring, to be honest. Like, I didn't feel cozy. It's just, like, I get that it's not high fantasy. I get that it's like a cozy fantasy, but I didn't feel cozy. I was just like, oh, so you're opening a cafe. Okay, next. And I know people love that, and that's the thing I love about books. We all love different things. So if there's any book in here that I say that I don't like or I hate and that I've shit on it, but it's your favourite book of all time, please don't take it personally. This is not, like, I don't think people's reading taste is necessarily a character judgment of them. Like, you enjoy what you enjoy. So please don't take it too personally, but I did not like Legends of Lattes. The next question is underdog book. Now this one was difficult for me because I tried to go into a lot of books this year without knowing anything at all, like without having any prior opinions about it before going in, just because of my disappointing books. However, one that was a big underdog this year was Blindsided by Karen Slaughter. So I picked Blindsided up maybe in 2023 out of Aldi for £2.99. And I was like, usually the books in Aldi, like back then, obviously they do sell more popular books now, but back then it was just like bottom of the rack. Like, I got my 50 Shades of Grey book out of Aldi, like that's what we're talking. So I was like, oh, I don't know how good this is going to be. And then I read it, and oh my gosh, Miss Karen Slaughter is absolutely getting a backlist redone. I absolutely adore her writing style. I think she's amazing. I read Blindsided, and then I read the next one in the series. I can't remember what it was called. No, I've not got my glasses on, so I can't see that far. But I know it's like A Faint Cold Fear is like the next book. Or was that the one that I read? Not sure. Anyway, her, whatever this series is called, is absolutely amazing. And I definitely want to check out her other series, especially Will Trent, because I loved the programme. And when I found out that that was based on her books, nah man, she does good. So she was definitely the underdog, because I definitely was like, oh, this will just like be like a quick wee read, you know. But it's got so much going for it, and I highly recommend it if you're into like crime thriller. I will give you a warning though, like sometimes it's quite graphic, sometimes it's quite horrendous. But I feel like it's not done just for the sake of it. It like fits the story. The next question is overhyped book, but I feel like I've already covered that with Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Not more to say on the matter, to be honest. That's it. Overhyped. Alright, so next question is surprising book. I feel like these questions all kind of like hit similar, but for surprising book, I have a few, so I've got my list. So first surprising book was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. The reason it surprised me is because I was, after reading Love on the Brain, which was only a 4-star for me, I was like, oh no, am I not gonna like Love Theoretically? Like, I feel like sometimes her books can kind of like follow the same recipe and then you can guess what's going on and then like you're just kind of bored from it. But this was unreal. I think Love Theoretically is actually my favourite Ali Hazelwood, like out of all of them. I know I've not read the couple of new ones, but like from her like OG collection, that is my absolute all-time favourite and I loved it. The next book that really surprised me was Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. I had this book on my TBR for many a month after month, and I just never picked it up. I don't know why I was so scared to read it. I was just kind of like, oh, what if it's not good? And honest to goodness, it hooked me. It absolutely hooked me. The story was brilliant. The characters were brilliant. I am so glad that I finally read it and it's not still sitting on my bookshelf. And I'm so glad that I read it so that I didn't bin it, because I would have just got rid of it. So that was a good one. The last book that actually surprised me was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Now, I listened to that on audiobook. I adored it. Like, I absolutely adored it. The story, the characters, the way that it just flowed nicely, like the writing flowed really well. Oh, stunning. I wish I could go back and read that for the first time again because it was so good. Next up, a favourite book couple. So, no surprise, my favourite book couple was Elsie and Jack from Love Theoretically. I was literally reading this book in the living room. I was just like, every 2 minutes, and Luke was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I just love them so much. It was just one of those kick your feet and giggle all the time, and I loved it, and like, they were great. They were absolutely great, and yeah. I did look through other books, and I was like, nope, no one can top them. Alright, favourite main character. Now, this one was really difficult for me. I really did think about it and I sat for ages. Obviously I can just like throw out a wild card and be like Percy Jackson, because I reread Percy Jackson, but no. My favourite main character was actually Rico from Pigeon Blood Red. Now, Pigeon Blood Red is a smaller book, like it's not widely known, and I think more people need to know about it this year in 2025. The Pigeon Blood Red series really had me. It was so good. I loved every single book. I read through them so fast, the first, the second and the third, and I think they absolutely deserve so much more love. I just love his character. He's like mafia guy, he's like the brawn, the muscle, but he's really fair. Like, he obviously takes into consideration what jobs he takes and stuff like that, and like if he doesn't think that they should die, then he's not going to do it. So love him. Alrighty, next question is most frustrating book. So this was the year of the DNF, so I did DNF books. I would say my most frustrating book was One Day by David Nichols, and I now know that is such a whirlwind because everyone is loving that book right now because the TV programme was made of it. I just didn't care. I couldn't. Every time I thought it was going to go somewhere, it didn't go anywhere, and I didn't like the jumping around, and I was getting frustrated with it because it was just moving around too much, and I just did not care about these characters at all. So I DNF'd it. Don't know where I DNF'd it, but I did, and I'm so glad I did because I feel no FOMO. I have no regrets. New fave authors from 2024. So we've also got Holly Jackson. We've actually got Emily Henry. I read Emily Henry for the first time last year, and I definitely want to read more of her this year. Karen Slaughter, of course, and V.E. Schwab. So I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for the first time this year. Top book. Top book. It's not necessarily number one. It's got a friend. But yeah, I love V.E. Schwab's writing, and I read a couple. I also read, oh damn, I forgot the name of the book. I'll just put it up here because I can't think right now. Sometimes you just can't think, especially when you've read so many books. Next question is happiest book. So I don't know necessarily what is meant by happiest book, I'm just going to say the one that gives me the most. So the two books that I felt really about was Funny Story by Emily Henry and obviously Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Both those books just like made me giddy, and that's the kind of romance books that I like, the ones where you're just like every 2 minutes. It was so good. Next question is longest book. So the longest book that I read was A Court of Wings and Ruin, which was the third book in the ACOTAR series. I actually think that that one might be my favourite. The second one is a close second, but I actually really loved that one. I loved all the politics of it. I loved the characters. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I laughed, I cried, like I felt it deep. It was very good, and yeah, I highly recommend ACOTAR if you're a fantasy fan. I know that that's dumb of me saying because most of you have probably already read it. I'm very late on the train, but yeah, I'm so glad that I finally got to it. Now, shortest book. So my shortest book was My Life as a Child Outlaw by Rick Riordan. So basically, me and Luke are doing a complete read through of all the Percy Jackson books, and that's not even a Percy Jackson book, but yeah, it was just a wee short one. It was very good. I very much enjoyed it. And yeah, not much else to say on it. It was just 50 pages. Next question is favourite covers. So my first favourite cover is actually my friend Alicia Roper, All That You Are. That is her first book in the series. I love the paperback, but I especially love the hardback. Like, getting her hardback copy is a dream. I would love to get it one day. So go check her out. She actually has her second book coming out soon. It's called All That We Are. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm gonna help her promote it. So I'm very excited. Then the Ravens and the Monarchs. I love their covers. They kind of go in tandem. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm a fan. It is so good. Then we have Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. This one I love because it reminds me of Percy Jackson. Like, it literally just gives Percy Jackson vibes. And anything that's Percy Jackson, I love. And actually, this series is really underrated. I've only read the first one, but I've got the second one, so I need to get on it. I absolutely adore this series, though. It is so far so good. So everyone needs to be talking about it this year, okay? The next question is book you haven't stopped thinking about. So obviously, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I will ship about that book until the cows come home. I absolutely adored it. I think about it all the time. I think it's so beautiful and the writing's amazing. I was talking about that tonight, how some people think it's really slow, but actually the first couple of 100 pages need to be the pace that they are so that you can build the world, build the character, build the situation before you get into the really gripping and good stuff. It is so magical and I love it so much. The next book I can't stop thinking about is If We Were Villains by Emil Rio. Is that right? Yes. So I read that book on holiday. Oh my goodness, go watch my vlog if you've not watched it. I absolutely loved that book. Luke also loved that book. We talk about that book all the time. And then when we were in Milan, I bought the special edition Italian copy of it because every time we go anywhere I want to buy a book in the language. Stunning, 10 out of 10. And I can't believe that was a debut. Like, how was that the first one? There obviously is The Graveyard, I think it's called, but that's a shorty and I'll maybe see if I can get it off my library. But oh, If We Were Villains, oh my giddy aunt, that was absolutely brilliant. And I love that it's written out like scripts, so like scenes instead of chapters. And I love that the beginning of the chapter starts from present day and then we go back in time to when the incident occurred. Love it. It's so good. I gush about it so much. Okay, cringiest book of the year. I actually found this one difficult because I didn't read many cringe books this year. Actually, did I read Fourth Wing this year? Let me have a look. Yeah, I read Fourth Wing this year. Cringiest book ever. Not a fan, to be honest. I really, like I say, I love the world building. I love the concept. Cringe. The smut. cringe as hell. The main character, cringe as hell. As a disabled person, she was such a pick-me, and I'm not a pick-me kind of gal. I hate pick-me's. I hate reading pick-me characters because they just whine, and I know that everyone loves Fourth Wing, but for me personally, like, I kind of took it as like she felt like she just deserved the world because she was disabled and this, that and the next thing, and she hated on anyone that tried to like be nice to her and help her and be like, actually maybe you shouldn't do that. And like, I totally get that the writer wrote her that she could accomplish everything, but it's just not a realistic point of view. And again, it doesn't have to be realistic because it's a fantasy book, but it's like all the characters around her telling her to be a scribe is because they're doing it for her. They're not doing it so that she fails. It's actually to look out for her because of her condition, which is totally fair. Like, I wouldn't put myself in a situation that I know I can't do. Like, I would never go bungee jumping or skydiving because it could kill me because of my disability. Like, stop being a pick-me. I'm over it. Can't be bothered. Cringe. Cringy, cringe, cringe. Anyway, the next question is most unique concept. This is another one I struggled with because at the end of the day, we're at a point now where books are all starting to kind of blend together. I've personally not read much uniqueness recently, but I will say, and do you know what, it's uniqueness to me because I'm not a sci-fi reader. If you're a sci-fi reader, this might come to absolute no shock to you. I thought that Blighted Stars by Megan E. O'Keefe was really unique. I loved the concept of it. I loved the whole reprinting your body and then your psyche goes into your body. I thought it was very meta. It was so good. I really enjoyed that book actually. Yeah, and I'm so grateful to Leandra and Laura for including us in their wee read along. It was great and I really much enjoyed it, and I hope I get to read the second book at some point. But yeah, I just loved the whole concept of that and that was really unique to me. The last question, book you would reread. So for me, obviously The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, If We Were Villains, Tales from the Cafe, and all of the ACOTAR books. Those are just some of many that I would reread. I read a lot of amazing books, so I'm going to do like a wee shout out to some. So obviously The Flat Share was one I really absolutely adored. I read that in January last year. I'm so glad I finally got to it because that's another one I rave about. Another one that surprised me was September House. Now, I'm not a haunted house girly. I watched Monster House as a kid and it ruined my life. But this book on audio, freaking amazing. I absolutely love that, and I can't believe that that's the debut book also. That was such a high standard. It was absolutely amazing and I highly recommend it if you've not read it. It's good for getting into horror. Jane Eyre was actually another one that I gave 5 stars to this year that I absolutely love, and I think that I will definitely reread it in the future. I think it was great, and I don't know, like I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Classics are really difficult for me, but listening to Jane Eyre was a magical experience. The story, it was so gripping and I laughed, I cried, I was like in insane emotions, and I love that about a book. So those are some special mentions. I'm sure there are plenty more books that I absolutely loved that I just can't think of off the top of my head. But I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm so grateful that I have all you guys. I love making my videos and I think that you guys supporting me keeps me going. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below because it really helps the channel. You guys are amazing. Also, comment down below. Answer any of these questions in the comments. Let me know your most disappointing read. Let me know your most surprising read. Let me know something you would reread again, like any of them. Let me know down below because I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Lastly, I would love it if you subscribed. If you haven't already, join the Bookish and Lifestyle family. Pop that notification bell on so you don't miss a single video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!